Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Good evening, listen. Spectrum on Radio 1, I'm hosted Kizito. Spectrum tonight is the Youth Livelihood Program immune from political manipulation. Is this program the best answer to youth unemployment? In January this year, government 65 billion shilling Youth Livelihood Program aimed at addressing the rampant unemployment in Uganda, which currently stands at 83%. Previously, the government had rolled out the 40 billion Youth Venture Capital perform as expected, following complaints from many youths and members of parliament. The Youth Livelihood Program is said to be a brainchild of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Mr. JEEMA. The Ministry of Gender has been busy recently sensitizing and training the youth on how to utilize this money. Yesterday, the opposition branded this new program as a political inclined project, through which the NRM regime plans to channel public funds to mobilize for its support among the young people who are desperate and yet are crucial at the next election. They claim that the funds are being accessed by some political actors and that it is part of this money that the Inspector General of Police has been using to pay off informers. Basing on the information gathered from the leaked tapes, the opposition now wonders how government began giving out public funds basing on a program that they has no political framework, no authorization from cabinet or even parliament. The opposition says the NRM government has no way to deal with unemployment and that it has not tested policy to promote job creation in the country. The government has maintained that the Youth Livelihood Program is well thought out, taking into account mistakes made in the past. So tonight we ask, under what framework is the youth program operating, and is it immune from political manipulation? Also, how will the youth access this cash? To do with unemployment in Uganda. Our guests, Mr. Kyateka, Assistant Commissioner for Youth and Children Affairs, so the spokesperson for that ministry. You're most welcome, Mr. Mondo.
Thank you, Edmond.
We're also joined by Mr. Asuman, Basalirwa, President of the Justice Forum. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much and good evening to all our
listeners. Mr. Mondo, what is the best way to
There is no one best way to fight unemployment. Unemployment is caused by a number of factors. And if you have to fight unemployment, you have to have a multi-sectoral approach. That's why even at the Ministry of Gender, Government, and Ministry of Finance, we don't believe that the Youth Livelihood Program is a panacea per se. It is contributory. That's why we talk about skilling Uganda as part of the intervention. That's why we talk about the Youth Venture Capital Fund that we have already alluded to. That's why we talk about foreign direct investment in the country. That's why we talk about all these open spaces we call investment industrial parks to enable investors to come in and be able to invest and create jobs for the young people. That's why we talk about a number of things that we think when put together, PMA and Ministry of Agriculture, Plan for Modernization of Agriculture, under there we have NARO, we have other interventions in there. That's why we are talking about BPO, business process outsourcing. So there is no, Edmond, if you ask me that question again, there is no one formula. You need a lot of interventions to be able to fight unemployment, including and not limited to controlling population growth. So the rate at which the population of this country is growing is not in tandem with the rate at which we can create employment, not only in the public sector, but also in the private sector. So the Youth Livelihood Program is just part of the interventions of government geared at downgrading the profile of poverty and unemployment in Uganda.
Well, is the government doing the right things that is important?
Well, it's up to you to judge. For us, we believe that it is, because, for instance, the Youth Livelihood Program is a well-thought-out program. Contrary to what the, including Basalirwa, were alluding for, that this program had never been approved by cabinet, I want to put it to you and to let the people out there listening to know that this program, before it was fully accepted, went through a number of stages. When, Pius Vigilbana, the permanent secretary,
Initiated the idea.
initiated the idea. What's wrong with having a good idea? He initiated the idea. The idea was developed further through consultation
Between the youth, CSOs,
political leaders, parliamentarians, and almost every shades of people participated. The Youth Livelihood Program was approved by Cabinet on 4th September 2013, passed by Parliament on 13th September 2013, and officially launched by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, on 24th of January at Kololo Ceremonial Ground, a very public place where everybody was invited through radio, through other means to attend. So, when you ask me whether government is doing the right thing, my answer is yes. We are doing the right thing, but we know that this program is just contributory. It's not a panacea per se. It's contributory, and this fighting of poverty, the way it looks, you need a lot of prayers.
So there was a lot of concern. The whistleblower did not just put it out of his hand.
No way.
Asuman, also, how can you people fight such a wonderful program?
Who is fighting it?
Oh, you don't like it.
No, I think nobody is fighting it, but let's try as much as possible to understand, and perhaps Mr. Mondo, since he's the spokesperson for the ministry, will help us understand. He has given many interventions in as far as government is concerned when it comes to the issue of fighting unemployment in this country.
talks about skilling
Uganda, youth enterprise,
venture capital fund. Now we are talking about the youth livelihood program, and we would be asking all those programs that have been rolled out by government, what is the success story?
how much have they impacted on the reduction of poverty in this country?
Of rolling out programs, giving them
New names without in terms of figures.
well of, for example, are the young people in this country.
After the introduction of skill in Uganda, how well off are the young people after the introduction of the youth enterprise scheme? So it's important really to guide the population. You see, this is a country, by the way, that has fallen in love with names. Okay? Whenever some problem or a challenge, he thinks about changing names. Okay? Either as an institution or a project or individuals. Okay? So you find somebody change. You find government, okay, oscillating from youth venture capital fund to youth livelihood program. You find Uganda police force, this is Uganda national.
Okay, so that is a new culture, by the way,
which is developing in our country. Now,
the reasons for shifting from one program to
another are not. Number two, the success story of one program before we shift to another is not given.
For example, we would want to know as a country,
and Mr. Mondo is here, when skill in Uganda was
how much in terms of skills acquisition did the youth benefit? You are talking about the Youth Venture Capital Fund, okay? It was also an intervention, okay?
And it is, by the way, this fund which through the banks and eventually to be accessed
the youths, okay? Nobody is talking about what befell this program, okay?
What were its successes and failures? What lessons do we derive from that program before we roll out to the youth livelihood program? Because we are talking about 260 billion, isn't it?
265 over 5 years.
Yes, for a period of 5 years.
That's
Okay.
53 billion.
Yes, and you can look at what is happening. So I think that's one. Number two, he talks about being launched, going through the processes.
One of the concerns we want to understand is the
Legal and administrative
work for the management
of this scheme. It's not okay. the legal is not enough to say there were consultations. It was launched by the president. It went through parliament. Let us understand the legal and administrative framework. Number 3, the issue of politics is also an issue that must be discussed. When government introduced the NADS program, a German foundation, Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, conducted a study, a research in eastern Uganda. That research was conducted by Professor Yasinyo Lubu from Makerere University. He released a report. It was funded by Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, and said in Bugisu sub-region, for example, and that report is public, accessibility to NADS programs was pegged on membership to the NRM.
What's wrong with that?
So there was a survival instinct. Okay, somebody would get an NRM card, okay, for purposes of accessing NADS services. So you would find a confessed JEEMA person like Basalirwa, okay, becoming NRM for purposes of accessing NADS programs. So it's not a statement made out of the blue. It's a statement that is backed by historical, by first of all history, but also research. That's one aspect. And I have referred you to Konrad Adenauer Stiftung for the avoidance of doubt. Number 2, the leaked, we are now calling it Ugaleaks, okay? Borrowing from WikiLeaks.
Not Khalid.
Okay? We are now talking about Ugaleaks. Eh? I don't know who is the Snowden in this circumstance, okay? The revelation from this
is revealing one thing, that General Kaihura,
in his campaign to bring people to NRM, especially the young people, has made one of his strategies. Once he brings you to a discussion and you agree, he recommends you to be a beneficiary of the Youth Livelihood program. Fortunately,
have not been denied. In fact, he himself has said
that's part of. Okay. So, and I think that was the gist of the press conference that we had in Parliament yesterday, and we are saying that how can a youth program, a very noble program by the way, of this nature, be used?
I'm happy to hear that you consider it a noble program.
No, it's a noble program. And you see, people like Mondo are going to become victims of a mafia regime. No. I am quoting.
What's a mafia regime?
Let me quote 2 senior NRM members. They are going to become victims of a mafia regime. The statement was made by Professor.
And a fascist regime.
Statement made by Jacqueline Babas. So, a very noble regime is being diverted to serve partisan interests. So, at the end of it all, a message is being sent that if you are not NRM, or if you don't appear to be NRM, you are not going to benefit from this program. So, it's important for Mr. Mondo and his colleagues in the ministry to reassure the public.
Yes.
That if you was, I don't know whether I'm still a youth or not, I don't know. Okay?
No, in Uganda, you define the youth as 18 to 30.
Yes.
So you can tell us your age.
No, I am now 35.
So that we can contribute to your birthday.
I am now 35, okay?
So you are old.
So, they need to reassure the country, okay? That the Ugaleaks notwithstanding, this project is for everybody, and that everybody is scheduled to benefit from this project. Otherwise, those fears exist. The tapes are in existence. They have not been denied. As a matter of fact, they have been confirmed. So it's important for us to know the exact objective of this program. Maybe in the next phase, I will discuss whether this is the right intervention in as far as is concerned.
Mr. Mondo, talk to us about what changes versus the old programs and what framework, what processes do you use to qualify people to get this cash?
Thank you, Chistra. But can I first start with what he wanted me to do? Can I reassure the young people in this country, about 7.7 million young people in this country, can I reassure the politicians in this country, including those in the opposition, that this program has no colors. They are not dressed in yellow, they are not dressed in green, they are not dressed in blue, they are not dressed, what's the color for them?
We'll find out. Light blue.
Light blue. They are not dressed in light blue, they are not dressed in the color. They are just programs to contribute towards reducing poverty, towards addressing the unemployment question. Oftentimes, I shudder that every time a program comes into existence is politicized. Leave us to do our work, and they do their work. Always they are there, they don't give alternative courses of action, they just ask questions, and many of the questions they ask are not prudent, are not informed by data, and that makes catastrophe in this country. I wish my good land friend would, with his friends, research on these issues before they statements that are detrimental to this country. The issue, the crisis of unemployment in this country must touch everybody's heart. So your political affiliation. And that's my annoyance. That's my annoyance. That when we politicize programs that are going to help us make young people have employment, they all have children, including my young brother, he has children, very many, and they don't count children as men, but I know they are very many because you started at school producing children. So, asking me on where is it anchored? The program is anchored within the National Employment Policy for Uganda. We have a National Employment Policy for Uganda, and I'm sure my good brother Basalirwa has access to that document from his iPad. It's also not right for anybody to think that there is a one right way, a one formula that can fit everybody. The English say there is no coat that fits all. Yes. Kizito's coat cannot fit me because Basalirwa's coat can definitely not fit me. So we are looking at various interventions to contribute towards downgrading the profile of poverty. Right. I want to say something that people will say it's rather political and you're a civil servant. But then I learned from Charles de Gaulle that since politics is such a very important assignment to society, even some of us who are not political have learned to contribute towards the political debate. So the people out there should know I'm contributing on this debate under that provision by you will question whether that's law. I don't want to also say that every development program must have a legal framework. There are development programs that are designed by a ruling party for purposes of addressing their manifesto. This is part of them. This is part of the program. A ruling party, it's a campaign thing. No. A ruling party must implement programs to implement its manifesto and give accountability. Under the NRM manifesto, which I have read as a public servant, because we implement, we implement as public servants. When JEEMA comes into power, we shall implement his manifesto. There is a time for everybody. And salute the president. For now, in the NRM manifesto, which I have read, I think on page 72 or thereabout, it provides that government will provide a formula, will provide programs to create employment for the young people, and among others, ensure that the young people, other than looking for jobs, they can access money to create their own jobs. Right. It also talks about that since we don't have adequate jobs here to promote the business process outsourcing as one with the intervention. It talks about success stories have not been communicated to them. We're communicating a number of documents, including our policy, ministry policy statements. And we communicate and say, because of this, this is what we are going to do. We do that. And the policy statements are public documents that every politician can access, especially at their level. For the Youth Venture Capital Fund, there were certain things that young people complained about. By the way, before I go into that, let me say that the Venture Capital Fund has not been massacred. It is still continuing. The 25 billion that was sunk in the different banks is still there.
With cases.
It's revolving. No. The cases money was transferred to Centenary. And Centenary up to now, even if you check tomorrow, they still have money under the venture capital fund for the young people to access it. But failure is not failure in itself. If a program failed, it doesn't mean that it has failed completely. There are certain lessons that we pick. That's why the English again say that, you know, if you fail once, it doesn't mean that you don't try once. Other than, you know, if that was true, then they wouldn't be still campaigning for the presidency because they have failed, he has failed a number.
Even the president would not be well.
You
said
see?
an election sometime.
So we don't believe that there is a jacket that fits all.
Let's take a
Reasons for shifting.
We'll talk about those reasons. This is Spectrum. We'll be back on stage.
Excuse me, what is this 300 shillings on my bill for?
That is for the toilet candle, madam.
And this 100 shillings?
That is for the air conditioning.
And this 200 shillings? I can't believe this!
What you don't use to ask for. That's why we at Standard Chartered are introducing the easy one-story counterance guide that gives you complete control of your banking charges. For more details, visit a Standard Chartered branch or call 0414 34 0077.
If you have a framework,
this is a warning from academics. All journalists gather around this radio and listen well, because I will only say this once. You germs, I have seen how miserable you make the life of my children. You take away their health and happiness. You make them too sick to play or learn. Make them get injections. I am Kabudemit, and I am here to tell you that when I come into this family, you will be over. I will cover their skin with a double L protection and will destroy you. I will make you pay. You have heard it straight from Kapurde. Meditates for no nonsense protection against germs. Buy Meditates for your family.
This house has been in our family for years. I remember the first time I painted with my father. I must have been about 12 years old. Yeah.
What has the poor child done?
Mother joked that I was being punished, but I didn't think of it that way.
This gentleman asked a question. He made a key point in passing. Where is your alternative?
Trust in their products.
it is also public information. In fact, when you refer to the youth,
so as you discuss whether this is the right formula or not, give us your alternative.
You can trust no further than Saturday.
Spectrum Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. Is the Youth Livelihood Program immune from political manipulation? Is this program the best answer to youth unemployment? Our guests, Mr. Kyateka, Mondo, Assistant Commissioner for Youth and Children Affairs and Mix of Gender, also spokesman for that ministry, and Mr. Asuman, President of the Justice for All Party, also known as JEEMA. You will be able to call this gentleman and ask the questions direct. Mr. Mondo, you were talking to us about the framework of this document, all this money. It is reviewed every year. You say not given out. Talk to us. What colors do you come with? And you say this color blind. But what is that frame?
Thank you, Edmond. But before I go to that, I wanted also to clarify that when President Basalirwa, President of JEEMA, talks about skilling in Uganda and asking me how many students have so far passed through, sometimes I should have known that this program was not. Even if September, at the end of the year, at least you have the information. I'm surprised that Mr. Basalirwa, a political leader, doesn't have the information that you have. Are we researching? Are we being responsible as political leaders? Is it right for us to misguide the public? Is it right? Shouldn't we be parents? Shouldn't we be fathers who must guide and be happy that there is an intervention by government which is addressing one of the biggest problems we have in Africa? Unemployment. 2, you have asked the framework is we have a youth livelihood program document which I will be very happy to share with everybody. We have shared, and by that, can I make it known to you that is on our web page, on our website? The document is there. It can be accessed by everybody. And I can see Mr. Basalirwa is on his iPad.
Yes.
You can access the documents.
Like
no,
and he's not playing solitaire.
No, he's not playing any games or whatever.
So the youth employment policy. The national employment policy.
Yeah. So when we talk about the framework under which people can access the money, and you ask me the question, has anybody accessed the money? The answer is no. 265 billion is supposed to be for 5 years. Each year 53 million. Because the program started in the middle of the financial year, we cannot access all the money. Access 19.25 billion. So far,
Structural
everything
expenditure.
Every expenditure that we can talk about. So far, we have accessed 10 billion. And that has enabled us, among other things, to equip a secretariat. We had to get a secretariat we are calling it a technical support team to back up the Department of Youth and Children Affairs to do due diligence as far as the program is concerned. We have furnished the office, we have bought computers and some vehicles. We are going to acquire some vehicles. We need vehicles. I mean, you cannot go to Mayuge, to wherever, bicycle. We have also been able, because this is a youth program, we need to talk to very young people, to appreciate and understand the program, to mobilize them, to create awareness. That's another reason that we learned from the Youth Venture Capital Fund. Right. That under the Youth Venture Capital Fund, we didn't do enough creation of awareness. So there are mistakes that were created along the way.
You're using peer education.
Exactly. But we are also in the process of evaluating that program. Actually, something is going on.
Even before
evaluating the Youth Venture Capital Fund. But I've also said that the Youth Venture Capital Fund is still ongoing. Young people can still access money from DFCU, from Centenary Bank, from Stanbic, and from Jaffa Bank, which is bank is escaping my brain. So that money is still revolving. We provided that let it be people, about 10 to 15, to agree on what they want to do. But they must be bona fide Ugandans. Because this program is for Ugandan youth. Not that we don't love them. We don't have a lot of money to spend on, handies. Not that we don't love them. This program is for Ugandan youth. Because the funding of this program is from the taxpayers of Uganda. This program is not donor funding.
So they 10 to 15 people come together.
10 to 15 people come together. They must be between 18 and 30. They must agree on a venture that's an undertaking, an income generating activity that they have to do. They put it down on paper, not like a fully-fledged proposal of you, Edmond, and Basalirwa, Kyateka and whatever. We understand what they can do. But we need to know, do they understand what they want to do? So there is a sub-county committee, and that's constituted of the chiefs. The chief, the LC3 chairperson, the chairperson for youth at that level, an assistant community development officer, and where we have an assistant level officer, they constitute that team. So they look at this proposal. They clear it. They send it to the district. The district looks at the proposal, looks at it, vets it, or says, no, this is lacking. The district passes on the proposals that have been vetted by the district to the national level, where we have a national secretariat and we have a technical team, which is headed by the permanent secretary. And the permanent secretary brings together other permanent secretaries from the different ministries. The Minister of Works, Minister of Education, Minister of Industry and whatever, they come together. They look at this and they say, well, that's what the district did.
Then they sign
off. Right. They sign off and they say, let these people.
So within 9 months of applying, you can have your money?
No. Within less than 6 weeks, of applying,
1.5 months,
you can get your money.
And whether you are FTC or
it doesn't matter. Whether you are JEEMA, whether you are Mao supporter and follower, whether you are Otunu's supporter and follower, Whether you are Mondo's,
whether you're Museveni's supporter and follower, you
get the money. This money has no. How much? What's the list?
15 people. How much can you give them? 12.5 million Uganda shilling. Million. Well, you can't do much with that.
Trust us what about this. But people, why do you?
But you can.
Where there is a program which has a proposal on more than 12.5 million, it can be considered differently and up
differently because of its unique nature and
creativity, and that's part of creating a cadre of people who are creative in mind, who can come up with interventions that are not the interventions of the 1960s.
A young man was trying to make
those are ventures.
Asuman,
talk to us about the police. Where does the police come? This is about.
No, first of all, it is Mr. Mondo's government that are politicizing this project.
Oh, yeah.
I asked him a question.
His government.
I asked him a question. Well, I didn't vote this government.
You voted yourself.
I didn't. I know that it is your government.
At least you voted. Go.
It is these people who are politicizing this project, and I have given you two examples. Okay. One is about a research by Conrad at the University. I am talking about government programs, and that is also public information. Number two, I am talking about tapes that have been authenticated by the IGP himself. So when it comes to politicization, it is not the opposition politicizing it. As a matter of fact, it is government, okay? And that is already information that the public is aware of. Number two, when President Museveni was launching this program, okay, this is what he said. That there have been many programs before. He mentions Skilling Uganda, he mentions Youth Venture Capital Fund, and the Youth Enterprise Scheme, okay? And he says, but the youth involvement has been hampered by attitude and mindset, okay? Mismatch of skills and inadequate information. Now the question would be, how does the introduction, have those things been cured before you introduce this program? What has happened now to address the issue of attitude and mindset? What has happened now to create skills that are in tandem with this program? What amount of information is now available in the
program is concerned? Question as to why we are shifting from the other programs, okay, and the success stories.
Not preferred saying that we don't want to seek information. It's not that we don't want to seek information. It's that the information is not there. Okay? It's just not there. It is not there.
Not even on the website.
You talk about Skilling Uganda, okay, having been introduced just last year.
Something of last year you cannot tell me is devoid of any success story. What about the youth enterprise scheme? You cannot tell me that it is devoid of any success story. And that is the kind of information, those are the statistics, the figures we wanted to be helped with, because they don't exist. And I'm saying it very deliberately. Okay? So I told you that the statements of the president seem to suggest that the other programs have been a disaster, yes, because of the three reasons that he gives: mindset and attitude, mismatch of skills, and inadequate information. Those were the statements he made. Now, Edmond, you see, Uganda does not live in its own world, okay? We can benchmark with other countries, and I know Mr. Mondo here has traveled, okay? Yes. Countries that have addressed the issue of unemployment have focused more on skills development and enhancement. It's very critical. Yes. Okay? That is having a very corrective
education system, an education system where vocational
integrated. Yes. in the normal line of education. If you went to Malaysia, I have always given this example. I was in Malaysia, and when I was moving through their nice roads, I was asking that you must be having many engineers in this country. They were saying, no. Okay? It's not about having engineers. It's about having young people with the basic education and the right skills. Okay? Not giving people money. Okay? You're talking about and you see, we all of us here have vehicles.
Yes.
I want you to go to most of these areas.
I don't have a vehicle.
Okay? No.
I use government vehicle.
Yes, you have a government vehicle, although you have capacity to own one. Okay? If you went to these people who are repairing our vehicles, by the way, you'll tell a man to write an invoice for you, a receipt or what. He's not capable of doing it.
But he's able to replace
your battery and everything. Okay? How are these people being helped? Because at the end of it all, you want those people to be competitive in terms of skills. So I think that, in my view, because he was asking about alternatives, if you read first of all, there is no political party in this country, especially those that have participated in presidential elections, that have not produced alternatives. They are not there. Okay? Our manifestos also exist. He was talking about the NRM manifesto.
If you want to know the
JEEMA, in as far as this matter is concerned, manifesto of 96, look at JEEMA manifesto of 2001. And the same with FDC, the same with UPC, the same with the DP. Okay? So, this information is available. Now, you can choose to ignore it, but your choice to ignore it does not mean its absence. Okay? So the information exists, and I think it's important for us to borrow from that information. When you are talking about youth unemployment, okay, it's really a very broad aspect. But we need to understand the real causes, because unemployment in this country is not limited to the youths, although the youths are the majority. In fact, the projection is that by 2015, about 7 million Ugandans will be 7.7 million Ugandans will be below 30 years. As we talk now, the statistics are putting it about
that one you got it right.
Yes, about 6.5. Okay? No, don't say that one you got it right. Mondo, I am very sure that between me and you, I am closer to the youth bracket than you. Okay? So I am very interested in what happened.
Okay? So I think it's important for us to get,
because that's my work.
I am interested because I've just exited from the youth bracket.
From the listeners. This is Spectrum Radio. Our number is 041 348 111 0312 260390 0312 261390. Calling, tell us where you're calling from besides your name.
Hello?
Yes, your name?
Yeah, I'm calling from Ginger with a guy. Okay, this is Mr. Mondo's area.
Your name?
I'm a youth in this area.
Your name?
I want you to spell out one of the success stories of the youth projects that have been held in this country. I'm from your area, Uganda. We want you to just spell out, apart from all the timing and giving that point about that at the time of election, in which we end up scrambling. Mr. Mondo. Story.
Where were you? Hello, we'll talk about those elections.
Number 041 Yes, your name? Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
Good evening. My name is William.
Yes, William.
Greet the gentleman in the studio. Mondo, how are you doing?
Fine, how are you? I'm in a hot seat.
I think I'd like to say as follows. I think even the thinking that actually availing money for entrepreneurship for young people is a financial youth unemployment is a misdirection. Let us look at ourselves. Let us look at people who have started business and can't run a business. It's not just among the others. Even towards the young people. The causes of unemployment among young people are varied and they need to be looked at in the spectrum, in the wider spectrum within which they fall. There are people who don't have skills and they just need skills of being employed. There are people who have the poor attitude, they actually need to be reduced so that they can either work to start their own project then other people don't have access to productive resources and need to be helped as much. And I think for me, I would like to know, because the young people in this country, with their leaders, with the members of parliament, and advocated for the start of the National Youth Enterprise Trust. Why did we actually look at what they have to propose themselves, thinking that actually they understand the problems better, and we actually bring something that we have thought about ourselves?
Dr. Malak?
Hello?
Yes, your name?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you, your name?
I'm Mondo from talking to Manamba.
Okay.
And I just wanted to make a small contribution to that topic.
Go on.
Mr. Mondo is underestimating the issue of poverty. The issue of poverty is much wider than he's trying to zero it down. Now, the thing actually it inherits poverty, and we appreciate the attempt it has made to try to fight it. Unfortunately, the poverty instead increased. All the parastatals were sold, which were fighting poverty. Now they are coming with small scale approaches to fight poverty. If we want that project to start, we need many experts, economic experts, and ECs.
Alright. Dr. Malak?
Hello?
Yes, your name?
I'm Benham. From Ginger, calling from Ginger.
Go on, Bernard.
Yes, what I want to put across the initiative by the president to dish out money today. Hello?
Please go on, sir.
Yeah, the initiative by the president to give out money to the youth, it's just a temporary solution, and we find a long-lasting solution to the unemployment rate problem.
Alright.
Mr. Basalirwa should appreciate that, as we find a long-lasting solution. Let's go by what is available.
Dr. Malak? Okay, let's get straight back here towards the responses. Starting from you, Mr. President.
Yeah, Bernard, first of all, I want to thank all our callers for listening in and the contributions. They are very useful to the debate. But I think I find a very big problem with us Ugandans. We are really people with very low standards and expectations. We always settle for less. You know, somebody is supposed to make a road, there are potholes, is supposed to make a road, he puts a few, he puts little maram in the road, the potholes go away, and we are up in you clapping, at least the road has been, at least the potholes, very low expectations, very low standards. And you see, most of these people are calling actually from up country, and that is how we have tuned them, okay, to say thank you for very less, okay. You know, and I think that's where the problem should be. Now, I want to associate myself with the submission of William Mugerwa. In fact, when you look at the employment policy of this country, it tends to outline the problem, although along the way they lose focus. They don't know where to begin from, okay? But they classify the youths, those who need capital, those who need and the education and the like, but they don't know where to begin from. I think the challenge of unemployment must be addressed in a holistic manner. What is that it is being addressed politically.
Towards 2016, you have nothing to show
In as far as
concerned,
and
2016
7.7 million
going to be young people. So
towards 2 years to 2016, come up with the program of this nature to try and appeal to the young people. I don't know whether the 53 billion will be reflected in this coming budget. Okay, we wait to see, but it remains a very big challenge. Right. And I think it's also important to explain to us, okay, this continuous shift from one program to another. Mr. Mondo is saying that the Youth Venture Capital Fund is still on. Now, I think it's also important for them to continue highlighting the existence of that opportunity. As we talk now, nobody is talking about it. They are now singing the Youth Livelihood program, reciting it like the Apostles' Creed. They have completely forgotten about the Youth Venture Capital Fund.
This gentleman, talk to us, Mr. Mondo.
Thank you, my young brother.
Say songs about the
Mr. President. Well, I like the way he urges. Of course, he's a politician who has also been a politician even at the university. But, Mr. Basalirwa, when do we stop abusing our citizens? When do we start embracing the bottom-up approach and understand that our people, they are not stupid as such, the way you put them, the way you think? Yeah, that's what they say. That they believe in low standards, they believe in low expectations,
yes,
and all this. When do we, as political leaders, stop abusing our people and understand that they have brains, they understand they are like you? And because you all grew up as peasants in these families until you become political leaders, and then you manage. I gave you the time. To finish. Can I also say that the National Employment Policy provides for a national action plan for employment, which you have not yet read. The National Action Plan for Employment provides a framework under which we look at each and every piece within the policy, and therefore the National Action Plan for Employment in Uganda operationalizes the policy. And this is what some of my friends fail to understand. I want also to say that the national policy provides for a national action plan for youth employment specifically. And I want to say that this morning I was with a team of experts. We are trying to put the bolts and nuts on a national action plan for youth employment, which we have been developing over time, and a number of people have contributed to it. Baron from Ginger, not giving out money. We are not giving out money. No,
he was supporting you.
He was supporting me. He was supporting me, and I thank you.
You said nothing about these borders.
I thank you. I thank you, Baron, for your contribution, and thank you for teaching my friends in opposition and teaching Brigadier Basalirwa, my good friend, that we cannot have one intervention.
Not a brigadier.
But
I'm at the rank of a field marshal.
You're a field marshal.
Yeah, brigadier.
Yes. I still insist. Scaling Uganda started last year in September. You cannot evaluate a program which is just 6 months. But I want also to say that among other things that Scaling Uganda is addressing is the issue of it provides also with BitVet. We have to go BitVet Act with soft skills, digital curriculum. My friend in Kagoma, I'll meet you when I come to Kagoma and have these actions.
You go with the border. Thank you very much.
You're going to go with a bag of money. You go to NRM.
Assistant Commissioner for Youth and Children Affairs in the Ministry of Gender. Also spokesman for that Mr. Asuman, the President of the Justice Forum. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
You're very malicious.